Aldnoah.Zero is an anime. It's got characters, dialogue, and things moving on a screen.
Wow!
That's it. Okay, thanks for watching. This series is off to a riveting start. Join me next week when I will be talking about... Just kidding, you guys know me by now. This is actually another Gaijin bashing video. Look at all this shit we added! You've all read the blog post, I hope. Oh, who am I kidding? In the case you have not, well, hey, welcome to this series where I review things. It's been a long time coming, and, well, it's gonna be a wild ride. Keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times, and, most importantly, have fun. Unless you really like the show I'm about to review, in which case, you won't have fun. 'Cause it's really bad. Alright, but let's get on with it. So, this is a new series. Let's talk about the format first. There isn't one. Cool. Let's talk about the premise. So, Aldnoah.Zero starts off in the year of our Lord, 2014, chronologically speaking, and everything's pretty much hunky-dory except for a few major changes. First off, apparently, when Apollo 17 landed on the moon, they found the last vestiges of a sort of ancient civilization and the technology associated with it, a gateway that allowed transportation to the planet Mars. Mars was colonized and terraformed by a group of settlers calling themselves members of the Vers Empire. Why is it called Vers, and why is it an empire? Well, I couldn't tell you. Neither will the screenwriters. Spoiler alert. Also, they won't talk about the technology itself, really. Other than it's called Aldnoah. And it's kind of the name of the show. It's like half of it. I don't know what the Zero is. It sounds cool. Translation weirdness.
Konnichiwa, Steven Spielberg des.
Space racism happens because of reasons, and in 1999 there was no partying going on because the Vers Empire declared war on Earth. There was a big battle on the moon which caused it to explode and send pieces of space debris orbiting around the Earth, causing fluctuations in the planet's tidal patterns and day-night cycle. Oh wait, I almost forgot. That doesn't happen. In fact, none of the science in this show really makes any sense at all. But we'll get to that later, because that's gonna be the fun part. You got kind of a Lelouch, Suzaka?
Emphasis!
Suzuki? Subaru? Thing going on between your two main characters for you anime fans out there. Inaho, Kaizuka, and Slain Troyardo. Everyone in this fucking show calls him Troyardo. What is he, Italian or something? What is there, like an O sound, like written in? It's not in the subtitles. I don't fucking know Japanese things. Inaho and Slain are caught up in faction loyalty plots and whatnot when a member of the royal family from Vers is allegedly killed in an assassination plot, much to the dismay of Inaho as he watches the events unfold right before his very eyes. Does no one else notice him? It's just him. Okay. In outrage, members of the Vers family see justification to wage war with Earth again as they make planetfall, killing hundreds of thousands of innocent people unrelated to the previous events set to a soundtrack composed by Hiroyuki Sawano. I say cry, I say those are the bad guys, but not all is lost. Well, it kind of is, because the Terran military doesn't really know what it's doing. But not all is lost, because we got a protagonist. Protozoa is going to save the day with the help of his supporting characters, who are also high schoolers. Did I mention that high schoolers are now required to learn how to operate incredibly technologically complicated military hardware in the event that the Mars dudes do invade? And that the military hardware is of questionable usefulness to begin with. But Greg, this is a mecha anime. You can't have a mecha anime without giant robots. What, are you stupid or something? I know. It's the genre. It's mecha. you got robots. And robots are cool, but there's a certain level of suspension of disbelief that you have to maintain in order for the audience to not have a complete disconnect to every single thing that's going on the screen. Because if you really think about it, the idea of transitioning from conventional military designs in the form of vehicles like tanks or aircraft was sort of negated by the fact that this new equipment is incapable of being effectively used by the professional soldiers who on multiple occasions have probably had to use these things for peacekeeping operations and things of that nature, and are consistently outshined by the efforts of teenagers. Specifically one. And, well, I can't really go into too many details about the writing for the entirety of the video, because that'd be too cruel. In fact, I'm sort of limited in what I can say, because delving into the plot inconsistencies would book you on a trip to Spoiler Town faster than the speed of light. Killing out. Now, there are some good things to say about the way the show is presented. I particularly like the settings in this show. Each one is painted quite nicely, and when accompanied by its very pretty lighting effects, a sense of life is breathed into shots at the right moments. The problem lies in that these kinds of scenes are far and few between, and often overshadowed by lack of visual detail. Animation quality of characters is good in parts, but even varies from character to character. Some have these weird sort of constantly distorted faces with very little detail actually drawn in. This is something the average viewer probably wouldn't have noticed if someone else hadn't pointed it out, but it's exacerbated by another oddity. This show is full of CG. Like, so much. Even the mechs are fully CG. Except for this one that fires the laser beams in the second episode. Take that for what you will. And I understand the practical necessity of CG in certain scenarios, especially with low-budget products. But when you combine it with the very slow and blocky action scenes that take place between mechs, it just looks awkward and weird. And, like, not fun. This is especially noticed when other hand-drawn elements are thrown in. These production details are irrelevant from the writing, so I'm taking a look at it independently, but it seems to follow a pattern similar to the writing in that there are good things and it's sort of splattered on a mediocre canvas. I see that the animators were going for a crisp, clean animation style. The titling is well done, with ornately drawn text presented subtly, and there's some well-directed action sequences, but this action is all done, in part, to CG. The writing suffers from a similar pattern. There are thematic statements about faction loyalty and brief commentary on the morality of caste systems, but the substance is just awful. Dialogue meant to address these themes is often awkward or spoken in nonsensical circumstances. So what you essentially get with Aldnoah.Zero is a show with a foundation for a compelling enough story that seemed to have a decent framework, but the actual house that's been built upon this foundation is made of glass. And we all know what happens when cynical assholes like me show up with a bunch of rocks to fuck it up. And it's sort of depressing because the show isn't even self-aware of some of these problems. It takes itself so seriously. Hiroyuki Sawano's score is fantastic, but quite honestly, it belongs to a better version of the show it's a part of. Its good tracks are often overused or rendered underwhelming due to the nature of how the action scenes themselves are paced. And don't even get me started on the J-pop that plays whenever Inoho comes in and saves the day, because you'll be seeing that a lot with this show. The pattern is, military dudes aren't able to figure out what's going on, all hope is lost, then Inoho saves the day. Some faction loyalty or whatever drama going on with Slain in the background, kind of. Inoho! 高密度衛星群による重力変更。After seeing the first few episodes, you will see everything Aldnoah.Zero has to offer, quite plainly put. Would I recommend it? Not really, but I wouldn't say don't watch it either. It's just really mediocre. Like, it's just a series of images moving on a screen set to audio things. It's just... And so we conclude. But before then, let's talk about some of the shit that doesn't make sense in this show. Because it's not like you care if I spoil anything. Why doesn't literally every Big Mech the Martians have this laser beam weapon? Like, it's easily the most efficient combat system they have, unless it needs, like, a lot of ammunition or something, but that's never implied at all. What's the purpose in the weapon systems of the Terran mechs being limited to this really, really upsized gun that's controlled by, like, robot hands? If these things move so slowly anyway, you could just do, like, a mech warrior style thing where the weapons are, like, loaded internally. And it's not like these giant guns really do much anyway. Like, you could just upsize it and put it in the frame and get, you know, higher, get a better round that would actually, like, do shit. Where did the space racism come from? This show starts in 2014, and supposedly the faction of Vers, I don't fucking know, formed in the 70s. So if the first war was in 1999, then that means anyone born on Mars who'd be fighting the Terrans would have to be, like, in their 20s. But that assumes everyone who fought was a native, so there'd have to be some kind of reason they'd be willing to fight the people of their home planet. I mean, Grandma's on there. So then another war picks up, and clearly these people are grown adults. Do some of them genuinely just not like Terrans? Like, where did this come from? Like, this guy is he's in his 50s, maybe late 40s, so he could have been a little kid before the Empire even existed. Why did the Verse settlers feel obligated to split when they found Aldnoah, when there have been people who still pledged allegiance to their native country? The US and the Soviet Union were like the only spacefaring nations during the 70s, so how did these highly ideological political philosophies even come anywhere close to a caste system? Like, whose idea was that? Was it this guy? I mean, how many people were yelling about it like this? Also, this whole scene is, like, really goddamn ridiculous, because, like, the amount of whipping that the blonde guy does, well, I guess they're both blonde. Either way, like, those are some scars. Like, whips hurt, okay? Like whips fucking hurt. I don't know what the writers of this show were getting at. You know, it's almost as if they just completely overlooked